Puzzle games are pretty cool, and they're going through kind of a renaissance right now. There's a lot of cool indie games out there, like Baba Is You and that one golf game, that are really changing the way you think about puzzle games. There's a lot of cool ways that a genre can be taken. Today, we're going to be checking out a video from Game Maker's Toolkit, where he's making a puzzle game that's randomized. This is a really cool concept. I haven't seen it a lot, but it's a good way to get you to not think about the solution, but instead come up with your own creative solution, which is my favorite part about modern puzzle games. So let's check it out.
Hey, welcome back to
Hello?
Weekender, a series where I recommend innovative indie games that you can finish in a weekend. This time, I
like
want to
that.
tell you about Mosalina. So,
Mosalina.
at first glance, Mosalina might look like your typical puzzle platformer. You're dropped into a single screen room. Your goal is to collect or destroy a bunch of fruit and then make
Yeah, I mean, this looks very similar to a lot of puzzle games. Again, like Baba Is You and stuff. They all go for the same aesthetic too, but it kind of lets your mind know what kind of a game it is, so I'm okay with that.
and then
okay.
make your way to the exit.
Makes
and
sense.
to help out, you've got some useful mechanics, like a magic spell that makes platforms move, a
Ooh,
phaser
that
that
looks cool.
teleports you to the other side of platforms,
let's
and a bunch
go.
of lumpy tentacles that you can spawn at will. So drag this
don't know how
apple
those are
off
useful, but-
screen with a
Okay,
tentacle,
never
phase
mind.
through this
Never mind.
vine to reach the next apple, and can't get back up. Okay, let me try that again.
I really want to try this
Well,
now.
like I said, this is not your typical puzzle platformer. Because
Okay.
while the levels are set in stone, the mechanics are actually completely random.
The one thing I'm very curious about, and I'm sure he'll go into it, does the game make sure that every level is solvable with every combination of items? I hope so.
This time we've got a butterfly that lets us teleport elsewhere and then teleport back a few seconds later. A rectangle
Oh.
where gravity is reversed and the power to pin platforms permanently. Let's give this new set of powers a go and... nope. Stuck again. Okay, tentacle, phaser, butterfly.
Okay. In a situation like this, when you have random items, I run into this with a lot of roguelikes in game design. You'll end up only actually winning when you get the actually good items. And so there's a lot of variety as you're trying out different things, but ultimately it ends up being kind of fake variety because most of it's not actually very useful. I hope that's not the case here. It's a puzzle game, so really you should be able to use all of them. But yeah, I could totally see how it's like, oh, the phaser's way better than everything else. So I just end up winning if I have the phaser and losing otherwise.
Okay, here we go. Use the butterfly to pop down here, then teleport back up. Use the
Yes.
spell to lift the vine to get the apple and then pop to the exit.
Let's go.
Phew, got there in the end. So this game is aggressively random, and that means there are no intended solutions to the puzzles on display. No obvious lock and key connections. Heck, no guarantee that you could actually finish the level
Okay.
with your current loadouts. But the upshot is
not
that you get to be
possible for everyone.
creative and crafty with your solution. You get to find completely unique ways to overcome the level at hand. Maybe shoot an apple out of the sky with a spear and then use it as a makeshift platform before it plummets off
that is
screen.
really cool.
Freeze these spinning spikes in place to make a safe bridge. Jump off a cliff at just the right moment so you'll teleport back to safety before hurtling to your death. This
go.
sort of emergent problem solving really reminds me of immersive sims. That's a genre, or perhaps a design sensibility, that came out of a specific lineage of old PC games like Ultima Underworld and System Shock. They were designed around the idea that you could use powers, tools, magic spells, interlocking systems, and enemy AI to come up with totally unique solutions to problems, resulting in clever stuff like using the wall-mounted mines in Deus Ex as impromptu stepping stones to scale up buildings.
Okay,
And
that is
in
that
fact,
is cool.
developer Stuffed Wombat actually calls Mosalina an immersive sim, but also sees it as a sort of commentary or response to more modern takes on the genre like Deathloop and Dishonored. In those games, abilities can feel less like emergent problem-solving tools and more like keys to open specific locks. You get the
Yeah, they just they'll bake in 2 or 3 solutions to the problem, and then it's like, okay, pick the one that works for you. And it's not really the same thing. It's way cooler to have it really be a sandbox, but with the sandbox comes the opportunity for solutions to just not exist, or for some solutions to be straight up better.
You get the super strength ability, and
Yep.
now you can go down the alleyway that's been blocked by a heavy box. Mosalina pushes back against that rigid puzzle piece mentality and makes for a game where it's entirely up to you to find the right solution, and it achieves this in a number of clever ways. For one, tools are just tools. The game is packed with clever, funny, inventive and weird little power-ups that manipulate the world in interesting ways. But they're not tied to any specific object or setup. You just find uses for them or figure out interesting combinations. Secondly, the game is all about physics. Tentacles wobble, pendulums swing, tools can make platforms move, float, and drop.
Again, we made a physics-based puzzle game based on Mario Kart recently. You should go ahead and subscribe if you want to check out our game development videos. When you get into the physics-based puzzles, it really does open up solutions to basically be anything, but it can also make it kind of hard to play because you really do have to take advantage of the physics system to make the puzzle solvable. Otherwise, it just becomes a little trivial.
The second you add a robust physics system to your game, the number of possible actions and options just balloons into infinity. And thirdly, Moselina embraces randomness. If the developer doesn't know what combination of tools you'll have, there's no way to design a perfect solution. And if the level simply doesn't work with your current setup, then you can just re-roll and try again with a new collection of mechanics. All of this led to a game where I found myself creating clever and imaginative strategies over and over again, leading to slapstick failures and smart solutions and clutch last-minute saves. These are the sort of memorable and emergent stories that you might get 1 or 2 times when playing through a typical immersive sim, but I had them every few minutes when playing Moselina this weekend. And it's also just a really addictive...
In a lot of ways, it kind of emulates what happens when you play against other people in video games and you find a solution for beating them, or like a way of you understand for a moment, you've got to like get in their mind and know what they're thinking. In this case, you're like, in a moment, you understand something about the game that no one's ever done before, and it's very cool.
And it's also just a really addictive roguelike style game. You know that feeling of wanting to play Slay the Spire or Binding of Isaac over and over again because who knows what awesome items and synergies you'll get this run? Well, same goes for Moselina. In each run, the game gives you 9 items from a pool of about 20. So you'll need to play many times to see all of the items, and many more times to see how they stack and combine. The developer has also promised to add even more to the pool in future updates. Of course, I wouldn't recommend this game to just anyone. You need to be okay with confusion and chaos and wonky physics and weirdo graphics. There's no story or structure, so it can feel more like a weird experimental toy than a complete game. And most importantly, judging by the comments on my videos about games like Tears of the Kingdom, there's definitely a large number of you who don't want to futz about coming up with your own solutions to puzzles.
Yeah.
So if you're...
Some people do like just solving closed puzzles. It's just understanding what the game is trying to tell you to do, and I get that. Sometimes open-ended puzzles can be really annoying. But this seems like my type of game. I might have to check it out.
If you're after something more traditional, then bonus recommendation, check out Cocoon, a mind-bending puzzle adventure about worlds within worlds within worlds. It's an evocative sci-fi game where these coloured orbs aren't just puzzle-solving tools, but actually entire pocket universes that you can jump in and out of at will. It's also basically the opposite of Moselina. Cocoon is an explicitly handcrafted game where every puzzle and solution has gone through months of refinement and iteration to deliver players one very specific logical conundrum to figure out. No randomness, no physics weirdness, no player creativity. But you know what? That's the great thing about game design. There's no one perfect way to do anything. There are incredible experiences to be had in games where everything's been designed by a master craftsperson, taking you on a super specific journey. And incredible experiences to be had in a game that uses randomness, physics, and open-ended solutions to make you the master craftsperson. The joy of games is that there's room for every type. And if you're a designer like Stuffed Wombat, if you don't like what's currently on offer, then make something different and show the world how things could be. Moselina is on Steam for $5 with a free demo to check out.
That's cheap. That was a very cool video. I am glad that Game Maker's Toolkit highlighted that for me. I'll probably end up checking that game out. If you guys are interested in seeing some gameplay, just let us know in the comments. Maybe we could throw a video together for you. Anyway, shout out to Game Maker's Toolkit. He makes great videos, obviously. I'll link his video over here. This is the kind of thing that we really try to do over here to understand what makes things fun and really mess with game mechanics and stuff. So, again, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see our game development videos as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you later.